it's totally off subject, but before I forget, I just came from a listing appointment that called me yesterday, and this was after I talked to you. I thought it was so funny, and he says, "Hi, Diana." I said, "Yes." He says, "Hi, this is Justin Stokes." He said, "I'd like you to list my house. Can you come by and list it tomorrow?"
Wow.
I was like, "Awesome." I said, "Sure." I said, "That's wonderful." I said, "I'd be happy to." And I said, "Can you tell me how you found me?" And he said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "All your reviews online were stellar."
Nice.
And he said, he says, "I Googled you, and I saw your reviews online, so," he said, I decided I wanted you to list my house."
Awesome.
So I literally did not even have to bring anything today. I said, "Well, do you want me to bring," I said, "You just want to talk to me and get an idea of who I am?" I said, "And I can preview your home. I can bring some comps." I said, "Or I can bring a listing agreement." I said, "How would you like to handle this?" And he said, "Just bring it." He goes, "I'm ready."
Nice.
He said, "I've already read everything I need to read." I'm like, "Okay." So,
well, it's funny. I had a conversation with someone yesterday just about this. I go, he's we were talking about things, and I said, "Listen, I have clients that, like, they don't get, you look at, like, a lot of the stuff that you get through other sources. You get all these leads where you've got to really work them hard to get them to the point where this client was already."
Yeah.
And
right, exactly.
And I'm telling them, I'm saying, "Hey, my system, you're not going to be behind a computer like pounding the leads out. You're going to get phone calls, and it's going to come from YouTube. It's going to come from reviews. It's going to come from Facebook."
And that's the beauty of it. This is my favorite thing, and that's why if I could get more of this, I would get rid of Realtor.com, or at least most of it.
Yeah.
It's always nice to have stuff, but I love this. I mean, my online leads that I get are the absolute best.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible, and it's you are just fantastic. I mean, I have to tell you.
Thank you.
You've been absolutely great, and it's it took me a while to wrap my head around it because I'm not a real big tech savvy person, but I think once I realized just let you do your thing and the magic happens, that's great,
Right.
and I love it, and it's funny, I didn't realize how much you did until we kind of parted ways for that little bit, and then I was still seeing the residual. That's what was amazing to me.
Right.
I was like, wow, this wouldn't have happened to me if I didn't do this because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
I didn't put myself out there. You did. And I was like, wow, that's really something. And then as I was, jumping around, because I do like trying new things, but as I was jumping around, I'm like, wait a minute, they're pushing me to the top, but they're pushing me to the top over what Glenn already did. I don't know if this is a smart thing or not,
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of stopped doing that because I don't want to undo, the magic, so to speak. But,
right.
But no, it's been fabulous. It's great.
Yeah, I had a talk with someone who is a analyst, and so as I told him, I said, for a company that I'm doing work for, and I said, "Dude, I go, I'm not going to send you reports every month of how many hits and bounce rates and all this other stuff. I'm just going to make the phone ring." And I'm sorry
right.
that I don't, I know most people are used to getting that information, getting reports and getting, leads that you got to pound to turn into a sale. That's just not what
right.
I do. And I've got client after client after client that says, "Hey man, I don't care. I have the phone's ringing. We're making money, So I appreciate it.
And that's the thing. I still have to write you a few more reviews for different places too because it's true. And that's talking to you about this now, it helps me touch on what to write in the review because I've tried to a couple times. I'm not sure what to write besides Glenn's great.
Yeah.
But this helps me too. It's like what to target. But honestly, to hear that, if you told me that and I didn't know you now, I'd be like kind of leery, going, okay, well, I need some proof. You're just telling me, and a lot of people tell me things. But, then when you actually get genuine reviews that, you do what you say you're going to do, it's pretty amazing, because if the phone does ring and then you just, I'm learning to ask people where they heard about me, and if it's from Google, Yelp, or, YouTube, then I know it's you, because I wouldn't be there otherwise. So, it's all good.